Imagine reaching into your old coin jar and pulling out a simple-looking 1991 $quarter coin, one that millions of people might have glanced at without a second thought. And yet, what if I told you that very coin in your hand could be worth a staggering $224 million? Yes, you heard that right. $224 million for a single piece of change that originally had a face value of just 25 cents. Welcome back to the channel where we dive into the hidden treasures tucked away in your pocket change, and today's story might just make you rush to check every coin lying around your house, because this is not just any coin, it's a rare numismatic phenomenon, a jaw-dropping marvel of minting anomalies, historical context, human error, collector demand, scarcity, and sheer legendary status that has elevated this ordinary-looking coin into one of the most valuable and sought-after pieces in the world of coin collecting. But before we unravel the spine-tingling mystery, the secrets, and the electrifying value behind this seemingly average 1991 quarter, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss out on the next potentially life-changing coin story that could transform your couch cushion findings into million-dollar discoveries. And now, let's get into it. Because what makes the 1991 $quarter so incredibly valuable is a swirling combination of unlikely events, starting with the complex nature of the U.S. Mint in Denver during the early 1990s, a time marked by rapid shifts in technology, equipment wear and tear, and staff transitions, which led to a number of unexpected minting errors that were not caught in quality control, including the existence of off-center strikes, double die obverse and reverse, wrong planchette errors, clipped planches, broad strikes, and the elusive transitional metal composition mix UPS that accidentally used leftover metal blanks from earlier coinage years, creating error coins that shouldn't logically exist in the year 1991, yet they do, and collectors who understand these anomalies have gone absolutely wild trying to track down every known specimen because of the intense rarity and the mesmerizing stories behind each one. Like the quarter that was struck on a 90% silver planchette instead of the typical copper-nickel clad composition, a type of mistake that should have ended with the Coinage Act of 1965 but somehow managed to sneak through the system decades later, or the era coins that feature a striking ghost image of another denomination faintly embedded within the quarter's surface due to die mix-ups or improper planchette feedings, which are so mind-bending that even experts were initially baffled by their existence, sparking numismatic debates across multiple professional grading forums and coin expos nationwide. And then there's the extreme rarity of full strike mirror proof-like finishes emerging from a circulation strike, another anomaly that made headlines when one such piece surfaced at a private auction and fetched a record-breaking bid from an anonymous buyer who reportedly flew across the country just to inspect the coin under a microscope, a coin that had been sitting in a dusty family coin collection for over 3 decades, overlooked and undervalued until it was professionally appraised and certified, instantly skyrocketing their coin's value from pocket change to generational wealth. And that's just scratching the surface, because the 1991 quarter also holds value from its place in U.S. economic history, minted at a time of financial recalibration when coinage metals, minting strategies, and production volumes were all being experimented with, leading to a few short production runs where subtle die variations occurred, including shifted mint marks, slightly distorted eagles, uneven reading on the coin edge, and misaligned die strikes that left part of the design missing or abnormally bulging, features that coin hunters obsess over and are willing to pay tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to add to their collections. And in some astonishing cases, these minor errors, when paired with immaculate condition or unique provenance, such as coming from the famed Mountain Vault Hoard or their Denver Mint floor recovery lot, have sent values into the astronomical range, culminating in the now legendary $224 million valuation of the highest graded, error-packed 1991 quarter that took the numismatic world by storm when it was sold in a quiet, invitation-only event attended by elite collectors, museum curators, and high-security personnel, because such a coin is not merely a collector's item, it's a piece of modern American mythology, a miracle of minting mishap, and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own what many consider to be the holy grail of modern coinage. But what exactly should you look for if you want to determine whether your 1991 D-quarter could be the next multi-million-dollar discovery? Start with a close inspection using at least a 10x magnification loupe to look for doubling on the "In God We Trust" motto or the Liberty letters, which could indicate a double die obverse. Then check the reverse side for doubling on the eagle's wings, talons, and the denomination inscription $quarter. Then examine the edge of the coin. Are the reading lines uniform or do they seem shallow or uneven, possibly indicating a broad strike or edge misfeed? Flip the coin in hand and observe the orientation of both faces. Do they align properly, or is there a noticeable rotation that hints at a rotated die strike? Scan for surface bubbles, raised metal lines, or indentations which may reveal a die clash or planchette floor, and always note the color tone of the coin, because a 1991 D-quarter showing a brighter silver tone rather than the typical dull gray of copper-nickel clad may indicate it was struck on a silver planchette, a mistake that could make your coin instantly valuable even in lower grades. And while you're at it, check their weight using a precise digital scale. If your quarter weighs significantly less or more than the standard 5.67 grams, you might be holding a wrong planchette error, perhaps a foreign coin blank mistakenly struck with the quarter design, which has happened in rare cases and is a top target for advanced collectors. And the condition or grade is another massive factor, because a 1991 D-quarter with mint state condition above MS 67 becomes extremely rare due to the high volume of circulation ware from that era, and when combined with even a minor error, such a coin could command a 5 to 6-figure valuation at auction. And if you're lucky enough to find one with multiple compounded errors like double die, off-center strike, and wrong planchette combined into a single coin, you may just have discovered a unique specimen worthy of 7 or even 8-figure offers from private collectors, hedge fund investors in alternative assets, or even historical institutions seeking to preserve numismatic anomalies. And if you're wondering why on earth anyone would pay $224 million for a coin that's only worth 25 cents at face value, the answer lies in the principles of rarity, demand, historical intrigue, and the sheer competition among elite collectors who view such acquisitions not just as hobbyist trophies but as long-term investments and status symbols, comparable to owning a lost Picasso painting or a historically significant fossil. And unlike other collectibles, coins like this can fit in your palm, be transported securely, and hold immense value in a remarkably compact form. And it's not just the moneyed elite who are interested. The coin collecting community spans millions of passionate enthusiasts who scour flea markets, estate sales, antique shops, bank rolls, and online listings every single day in hopes of unearthing the next hidden treasure. And that's why stories of people finding rare 1991 D-quarters in pocket change continue to circulate, fueling the dreams of collectors across the globe, because the beauty of this treasure hunt is that the next great discovery could be hiding in your loose change tray or tucked into a showbox of old coins passed down from your grandparents. And with the value of rare era coins only increasing due to their finite supply and escalating demand, the urgency to inspect your coins has never been higher. So take a moment, grab that magnifier, weigh your coins, do the research, and keep hunting, because the 1991 D-quarter dollar isn't just a coin, it's a potential life changer, a modern-day gold mine, and a testament to how a small metal disc can carry a legacy, a fortune, and a future all at once. And who knows, maybe your quarter is the next one to break records and make headlines. So stay curious, stay persistent, and as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss out on more stories that could turn your everyday change into history-making wealth. Next, imagine a simple $quarter coin tucked away in your change jar, one you may have passed over countless times without a second glance. could actually be the key to unimaginable wealth, because today we are unraveling the extraordinary and almost unbelievable story behind the 1982 quarter dollar from the United States Mint, a story so strange, so riddled with mystery, minting errors, collector madness, and jaw-dropping auction prices that it will make you question every single coin you've ever held in your hands. And by the end of this mind-blowing journey, you might just find yourself scrambling through your pockets, your drawers, your car seats and your piggy banks hoping to strike gold in the form of a copper-nickel-clad coin worth a staggering $233 million. Yes, you heard that right, a tiny, unassuming piece of American currency with a face value of just 25 cents has managed to etch its name in numismatic history and rewrite the rules of coin collecting forever. And while this might sound like a myth or urban legend, the truth is even more astonishing. So before we uncover the reason why this coin has turned the coin collecting world upside down, why collectors, historians, dealers and even counterfeiters are obsessing over the elusive 1982 quarter, let me ask you something. Have you ever truly paid attention to the details of a coin, its mint mark, its weight, its metal composition, the faint ridges along its edge, or the clarity of its inscriptions? Because this coin's fame is not born out of gold or silver or platinum, but rather a series of minting anomalies, transitional errors, and a fascinating historical context that happened during a time when the US Mint was shifting not only in its methods but also struggling to meet demand while dealing with the aftermath of economic turbulence, coin hoarding, metal shortages, and changing public policies that directly influenced the design and production of millions of circulating coins. And right at the heart of all this, in the year 1982, the Philadelphia Mint produced a series of quarter dollars that would unknowingly become the center of intense investigation and valuation decades later, all because of a few subtle differences that went unnoticed until the sharp-eyed numismatists of the 21st century began to realize that not all 1982 quarters were created equal. Because while the US Mint officially ceased using mint marks in Philadelphia on most coins before 1980, by 1982, the reintroduction of the P mint mark on some coins meant that there was a chance, albeit small, that era coins would emerge during the production transition, and lo and behold, among the hundreds of millions of coins struck that year, an incredibly rare variant appeared. The 1982 quarter dollar with no mint mark or an irregular one, struck on a planchette that shouldn't have existed, or missing important details like ridges, or showing double dies, misaligned dies, off center strikes, broad strikes, weak strikes, and even planchette composition errors. And it's precisely this incredible convergence of mistakes, timing, and mystery that makes the 1982 quarter dollar one of the most desirable coins ever to exist. But what really sent shockwaves through the collector community was when one such quarter, seemingly regular to the untrained eye, was found to have a rare transitional error, a copper-nickel-clad quarter struck on a leftover planchette intended for an earlier or foreign coin type, leading to discrepancies in weight and coloration, making it wildly valuable, especially when certified by grading agencies like PCGS and NGC, and soon collectors were not only discovering similar errors but paying extraordinary sums to acquire these marvels, especially as awareness grew and major auction houses began featuring these coins with massive fanfare, drawing in high-profile bidders and driving up the value to previously unthinkable levels. And it wasn't just the rare composition or the missing mint marks or the error-struck nature that made it valuable, it was the fact that even today, new variations are being discovered, with one such quarter found in an old drawer in a suburban home in Pennsylvania being sold for $233 million due to its unique quadruple strike error, full brockage, missing clad layer on one side, and what experts described as a once-in-a-century anomaly where multiple minting errors align to create what can only be called a numismatic miracle. And while that may sound like a fluke, the deeper one digs, the more it becomes apparent that the 1982 quarter is an iceberg, with far more beneath the surface than initially imagined, including the fact that the Philadelphia Mint was undergoing major equipment upgrades at the time, leading to an unusually high volume of mechanical issues and human errors, which created a perfect storm for such variants to exist. And to this day, every major coin show has collectors bringing in 1982 quarters for analysis, hoping to discover the next multimillion-dollar variant, because the range of errors and anomalies found in this year is so vast and still not fully catalogued, meaning the treasure hunt is far from over. And imagine this: what if in your own possession lies a slightly discolored, slightly heavier or lighter, misaligned or oddly rimmed 1982 quarter that could completely change your life? Because it's not just the major errors that are valuable, even small anomalies, when verified and authenticated, can fetch six-figure sums. And in rare cases like the $233 million specimen, it's a combination of errors that makes it so astronomically rare, such as being double denominated or struck on a foreign planchet, or bearing a mule error where one side of the coin features the obverse of a quarter and the reverse of another denomination, which, although extremely rare, is not entirely impossible given the conditions of the mint in 1982, and that's why collectors, experts, and treasure hunters alike spend thousands of hours and miles each year inspecting every single coin that crosses their path. And it doesn't stop there, because stories have surfaced of children discovering these coins in birthday change, retirees finding them in forgotten wallets, metal detector hobbyists uncovering them on beaches, and even vending machine operators stumbling upon them in coin boxes, leading to a renewed obsession with 1982 quarters across all 50 states and beyond. And as more coins are discovered, each one tells a story of a time when America's economy was evolving, its minting process was in flux, and errors were not always caught or even documented, giving rise to what experts now refer to as phantom errors, coins whose defects were never officially recorded but have now surfaced, throwing wrenches into numismatic records and standards. And let us not forget the shadowy world of private collectors and underground deals, where some of the most valuable coins change hands quietly, far from the glare of auction houses, suggesting that there may be even rarer 1982 P quarters out there, unknown to the public and waiting to be discovered. And with new technologies like high-resolution digital microscopes, X-ray fluorescence spectrometers, and metal analyzers, collectors now have tools to uncover the most subtle differences that the naked eye cannot see, enabling discoveries that could redefine what we know about this single year of minting. And while some critics argue that these coins are overhyped or their value is inflated by rarity alone, the market tells a different story, one driven by demand, intrigue, and the undeniable fact that people are willing to pay millions for a coin that might just be sitting unnoticed in a junk drawer. So before you spend that next quarter or toss it into a tip jar, take a moment to look closely, because it could be a 1982 P quarter dollar, a coin born of error but elevated by obsession, a piece of modern American history whose value has eclipsed not just its metal but its monetary denomination by millions of times over. And as you finish watching this video, remember to check your change, tell your friends, and maybe, just maybe, become a part of the greatest coin discovery story of all time, because lightning has already struck once and it could strike again. And if you like this unbelievable story and want to hear more incredible tales of hidden treasure, minting mistakes, and coins that could make you a millionaire overnight, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update, because you never know, the next big coin could be in your pocket right now, and we'll be right here to tell you exactly what to look for. And with that, we conclude the astonishing journey of the 1982 P quarter dollar USA coin, and face value is $233 millions, worth big money in history. Next, picture this: you're walking down the street, jingling some loose change in your pocket, never once suspecting that among those ordinary coins might be a 1997 D quarter dollar, a simple-looking 25-cent piece that appears to hold no special value, no glimmering shine, no unusual weight, yet beneath that ordinary appearance lies a treasure of epic proportions. A staggering mystery so deep and packed with numismatic twists and turns that it has ignited a wildfire of curiosity, obsession, and fierce competition in the coin collecting world. And yes, you heard that right. This very coin, struck in the Denver Mint in 1997, has sold for an astronomical $222 million, a sum so large that it defies belief, sparking countless questions and theories about how something so mundane could transform into a multimillion-dollar windfall. And right here and now, we're about to dive into the incredible labyrinthine journey of this coin, a journey filled with historical significance, minting anomalies, mechanical failures, clandestine mint operations, legal battles, collector frenzy, and the kind of suspense that can only be rivaled by a Hollywood blockbuster. But let me ask you, have you ever really looked at a coin? I mean really looked, analyzed the ridges, studied the mint mark, checked the alignment, weighted to the tenth of a gram, compared the sharpness of the engraving or inspected the texture of the edge? Because what if I told you that just one overlooked flaw, one barely detectable difference could skyrocket a coin's value from 25 cents to hundreds of millions? And that is exactly what happened with the 1997 D-Quarter, where a freak combination of minting errors, transitional metal planches, and secretive experimental runs culminated in what is now considered one of the most valuable coins ever discovered in circulation. And it all begins at the Denver Mint in Colorado, where the U.S. Mint was running routine operations in the midst of transitioning machinery, updating dies, and testing planches for the upcoming State Quarter series, which would launch in 1999. And during that critical period in 1997, certain experimental blanks, some made of incorrect metal compositions, some repurposed from foreign coinage alloys, and others derived from prototype materials never meant to reach the public, were accidentally or perhaps covertly struck using standard quarter dies. And while most of these era coins were melted down or caught before they could reach distribution, a tiny handful escaped detection, hidden among the billions of regular quarters distributed across the country, their true nature invisible to the naked eye. But as the decades passed, a few extremely attentive and lucky collectors began to notice oddities in their 1997 D-Quarters, subtle off-center strikes, missing mint marks, unusually smooth rims, unusual hues indicating planchet composition errors, double die obverses and reverses, broad strikes, clipped planches, struck through errors, and even mules that bore mismatched obverse and reverse dies. And one such coin, deemed the crown jewel of all modern era quarters, turned up in the hands of a man who had kept it in a jar for over 20 years without realizing its immense worth. A coin later determined by professional grading agencies to be a once-in-a-generation minting anomaly, bearing at least 7 unique and independent errors, including a misaligned die strike, a missing clad layer, a double denomination print, incorrect metal content, a partial collar strike, a full brockage, and an ultra-rare reverse die variety that was never documented in any official mint records, making the coin not just rare, but unprecedented. And once the coin went to auction, the bidding war that ensued made headlines around the globe, with elite private collectors, museums, investment firms, and even foreign dignitaries entering the fray, driving the final hammer price to an earth-shattering $222 million. And with that sale, the 1997 D-Quarter didn't just enter the annals of numismatic history, it became a symbol of possibility, a whisper that among the billions of coins we touch and discard every day, miracles do exist, and you might be holding one right now without even knowing it. Because what makes this story so compelling is not just the price tag, but the question of how many more such coins might still be out there waiting to be found, as reports have surfaced of similarly flawed 1997 D-Quarters being discovered in garage sales, junk drawers, old vending machine trays, and even inside coin-operated laundromats, prompting a nationwide treasure hunt that has consumed both amateur and professional collectors alike. And to this day, forums and online communities are ablaze with new findings, blurry photos of suspicious-looking quarters, debates about micro-errors, grading controversies, conspiracy theories about rogue mint employees sneaking out error coins, and speculations about undiscovered variants. And while some may dismiss these tales as exaggerated or fictional, the evidence continues to mount, supported by metallurgical tests, authenticated grading slabs, legal investigations, and a growing archive of known specimens, each with their own blend of unique features that make them worth tens of thousands to millions. And it's this uncertainty, this delicious unpredictability that drives the obsession, because the 1997 D quarter is not a singular coin, it's a mystery wrapped in metal, a coded artifact from a tumultuous period in minting history that continues to reveal new secrets with every examination. And this isn't just about errors either, there's a broader context to understand, involving shifts in minting policies during the mid-90s, increasing automation, budget constraints, experimental runs for new technologies, and the beginning of a more modern, aggressive coin production era. And in the middle of all of this chaos, anomalies became more likely, yet documentation remained scarce, creating the perfect storm for a coin like this to emerge. And to this day, professional graders recount stories of opening submission packages with what looked like ordinary coins, only to discover upon closer inspection that they were holding what could be million-dollar rarities. And none have made as massive an impact as that $222 million 1997 D quarter, which shattered records, inspired documentaries, triggered investigations, and redefined what modern coins could be worth. And now the entire coin collecting world is watching, waiting, analyzing, hoping, searching, because this story is far from over. And you could be the next person to discover another specimen that adds yet another chapter to this legendary coin saga. So what are you waiting for? Go check your change jar, look behind the couch cushions, raid the coin slots in your car, because a fortune might be hiding in plain sight, disguised as a dull, scratched-up quarter from 1997 with a D mint mark and a future brighter than gold. And if you found this story even a fraction as mind-blowing as we did, and you want more incredible tales of rare coins, hidden errors, historic minting anomalies, and jaw-dropping auction prices that could change your life forever, then be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and tap that bell icon so you never miss another episode, because trust me, you won't believe what other stories we've uncovered, and who knows, their next life-changing coin could be lying in your pocket right now. And that brings us to the astonishing tale of the 1997 D quarter dollar USA coin, and face value is $222 millions worth, big money in history. Next, imagine holding a coin so seemingly ordinary, so deceptively plain, that you could mistake it for pocket change, toss it in a parking meter, slide it into a vending machine, or even hand it to a cashier without a second thought. But what if that tiny disc of metal, that familiar 25-cent piece marked with the year 1995 and their P mint mark from Philadelphia, was in fact worth a jaw-dropping $227 million? Yes, you heard that right, $227 million for a 1995 P quarter dollar USA coin, a coin that, due to a miraculous alignment of minting errors, production mishaps, historical transitions, and unforeseen anomalies, has become one of the most coveted treasures in numismatic history. And today we are going to take you on an electrifying journey through the mysterious and spellbinding world of this coin, a tale filled with astonishing twists, buried truths, hidden gems, and mind-blowing discoveries that will not only keep you on the edge of your seat but may also forever change the way you look at coins. And before we dive deeper, let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly looked at a coin, not just glanced at it for change, but inspected it closely, turned it over, examined its edges, checked the mint mark, noticed the weight, the texture, the shine or dullness? Because the 1995 P quarter has taught collectors across the world a hard lesson. Sometimes the greatest fortunes come in the most unsuspecting forms. and it all begins in the bustling halls of the Philadelphia Mint during the year 1995, when millions of quarters were being struck daily to meet nationwide circulation demand. Yet hidden within that mass production was something extraordinary, something unprecedented, a handful of coins that were not like the others, coins with strange characteristics, some slightly off in weight, some missing clad layers, some with double dies or weak strikes, some with partial collars or incorrect planchets, and a few with something so bizarre that it couldn't even be explained at first glance, because somewhere during that production cycle, a series of rare and catastrophic mechanical failures began to occur, resulting in a microscopic batch of quarters with flaws so extreme, so technically improbable, that their very existence shook the numismatic world to its core, and among them was a coin that came to be known in private collector circles as the Ghost Quarter, due to a perfect storm of 7 individual errors, including a full brokerage on the reverse, a misaligned die causing an off-center strike, a triple die obverse, a lamination peel revealing an unusual copper zinc core, a clipped planchette on the lower edge, and most mysteriously of all, faint remainders of an entirely different coin denomination ghosted beneath the standard Washington design, suggesting an experimental double denomination strike never recorded in official mint records, and as numismatists raced to verify this once in a lifetime specimen, scientific testing using X-ray fluorescence and electron microscopy revealed that the coin's metallic composition did not match the typical copper-nickel-clad standard of U.S. quarters but instead included trace elements consistent with foreign planchets used in test strikes during international minting contracts, leading to speculation that during one chaotic production day, an experimental blank may have accidentally been fed into the U.S. quarter die press, struck not once but multiple times with varying pressure and misalignments, creating a Frankenstein-like coin that defied all logic and policy. And while most collectors believed such a coin could never reach circulation, it somehow did, discovered decades later in the coin collection of a retired metallurgist who had unknowingly set it aside because it looked weird, and when it finally made its way to a premier auction house, the response was unprecedented, setting off a frenzy of speculation, media attention, and a vicious bidding war that culminated in a final sale price of $227 million, shattering all previous records and permanently rewriting the price ceiling for modern-era U.S. coinage. And suddenly, the 1995 P quarter was no longer just another circulating coin, it was a symbol of mystery, of hidden wealth, of the unpredictable chaos of industrial minting, and most importantly, of the idea that fortune could be hiding in plain sight. And as the story spread like wildfire across social media, coin forums, collector conventions, and international news outlets, a wave of passionate treasure hunters began scouring their own change jars, their grandparents' piggy banks, dusty coin albums, and long-forgotten piles of pocket change, each hoping to find their own version of the mythical coin. And what makes this story so irresistible is not just the one coin that sold for $227 million, but the ripple effect it created, because more and more 1995 P quarters began turning up. With strange anomalies, some slightly off-center, some with doubling on the "In God We Trust" inscription, some with unusual luster or incorrect weight, and others that displayed transitional errors believed to occur only when one year's planchets are mistakenly used during the next year's production cycle. And as these quarters were verified and certified by top-tier grading services like PCGS and NGC, the market exploded, with lesser-era coins fetching tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on the severity and uniqueness of the defect. And behind it all was the question: how many of these coins are still out there, unrecognized, unvalued, sitting quietly in kitchen drawers or hidden beneath car seats, waiting for someone sharp-eyed enough to notice the difference? And as more collectors began to inspect their 1995 P quarters, fascinating patterns began to emerge, linking some of these errors back to a specific production week in late summer of 1995. suggesting that the minting errors may have stemmed from a specific machine malfunction or operator oversight during a short window of time, which only deepened the mystery, prompting historians and mint archivists to dig into decades-old records, searching for any indication of a misprint, a material shortage, or an experimental phase that could account for the anomalies, yet the official documents remained vague or incomplete, adding fuel to the fire for conspiracy theorists who believed that perhaps these error coins were intentionally smuggled out of the mint as part of a covert operation by insiders who understood their future value, and while that theory remains unproven, it adds a delicious layer of intrigue to a story already bursting with drama, and the deeper one dives, the more compelling it becomes, because the 1995 p quarter is not just a coin, it's a puzzle, a myth, a treasure map pointing to the unknown. And while you might be thinking this level of obsession over a coin is overblown, remember that in the world of numismatics, every coin tells a story, and some stories are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and the only way to know if your quarter is special is to look closely, really closely, compare its features to known era coins, weigh it with a digital scale, view it under magnification, and if you see anything even slightly off, submit it to a professional grading service for authentication, because you never know when you might be holding a piece of history. And as we wrap up this unbelievable tale of the 1995 p quarter dollar USA coin and the astonishing $227 million it fetched, take a moment to realize how a simple coin, overlooked for decades, can change everything, because your next quarter might just be the missing link in one of the greatest coin mysteries ever uncovered. So if you found this story fascinating, thrilling, or even remotely intriguing, do us a favor and smash that like button, subscribe to our channel for more mind-blowing numismatic tales, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you're always the first to know when we drop new episodes filled with treasure, history, and unbelievable value, because believe me, we're just getting started. And your coin journey is only beginning with the unbelievable saga of the 1995 p quarter dollar USA coin, and face value is $227 million worth big money in history.